Party people, how we doing? Okay, I know what you're thinking to yourself. One, this video's on YouTube. What's up with that? Yes, it is. This is a new thing I'm trying out, new way of doing things. And you're also thinking, bro, tomorrow's country fair. Why are we doing this? Well, it is country fair, so the point of this is we get through this kind of quick, and afterwards you can play signs. You're good, last few minutes of class. But I do want you to get this down. It'll be pretty chill. All right. What we were doing, this rolled straight from yesterday. What we're doing is I'm just going to go through a few of these emperors. Remember, we're talking about the Pax Romana, this 200-year period of the Roman Empire through the lens of these four emperors. And then we'll explain Commodus at the end, the last one. So you've already written a couple of them down. You have a little frame of reference. So all I want you to do is, as you're watching this video, just like you've done in the past, go ahead and jot down a few of these notes. Just listen to what I say. Listen to the story. I'm going to talk freely about each of them, especially the first two, the bad ones, because they're crazy. And then I'll tell you what I want you to kind of write down to give you some structure. And I'll do that kind of with each. The first two are the longest. And then it's easier to talk about Trajan and Marcus Aurelius because you have a few more things written down about them already. And we'll just kind of dive in. All that to say, then you'll be finished. No problemo. No harm done. All right? All that to say, here's what we got right here, okay? You've written down these emperors. We said Octavian by 27 BC, Rome is officially an empire, right? 200 years, next 200 years, Pax Romana, bam, the Roman Empire. And we think, what we wrote down yesterday is when we think about the great Roman Empire, the greatness of Rome, the glory of Rome, this 200-year period is what we're talking about. And the point that we're starting with, as we said, and what we finished last section with, is we said Octavian, aka Caesar Augustus, laid the foundation for a very stable empire. He laid down some policies that were very strong keys to stability, as we said, and the policies that he put in place allowed the Roman Empire to not only survive, but really thrive for the next 200 years, from 27 BC to 180 AD. Up in AD, yo, counting up from zero, yo. All that to say, we said we're going to look at so his policies allowed the empire to survive both horrible and great rulers. We're going to talk about those people today. On Monday, we'll explain a little bit more about what that dynamic of rule looked like, and how the empire actually survived and thrived. But today I'm going to talk about these people a little bit. And understanding these people will kind of set the backdrop for understanding this 200-year period. Remember, we'll finish this, and then a couple days next week we'll talk about Christianity and how it fits into these guys. Like, I'll say, for example, Nero, famous for mercilessly persecuting Christians. Kind of a cool thing to see how those fit in context with each other. Anyways, let's get rolling, okay? Seventh block, I taught you a little bit about Caligula yesterday, and I'm gonna repeat this for you guys. But block 1 and 2, how we doing? Caligula, welcome to the scene. All right, Caligula, he's crazy. Okay, that's all. That's like right off the bat. He and Nero are mentally crazy. There's no other way to put it. Okay, and Caligula is what he's going to do. Basically, Octavian was a really good ruler, like very, and that's not my opinion. That's like good in the sense that he started the empire. He laid the foundations of some really good. He laid some really good policies in place that allowed for a really good foundation. But he was a good ruler in the sense that the people respected his leadership, and he set kind of a solid precedent for leadership. All right. After him, a couple other guys, like we said, there's kind of a lot of rulers. We're just going to look at 4 of them. A couple other guys, but long story short, Caligula takes power in 37 AD. And he only rules for 4 years, and he's like in his 20s. He's kind of young. And he basically, without going too crazy in depth with the story, he grows up with a very like tough military father. So he grows up in a very rough environment where he's also he's very entitled. He's used to kind of getting whatever he wants. So he's very narcissistic from the get-go, and what we'll see is that he's going to be the ultimate narcissist, meaning not only is he obsessed with himself, but he actually is going to have very little compassion for anybody else and kind of zero moral compass. That's a little background for Caligula, but he comes to power in 37 AD. I mean, he's crazy. Long story short, he comes to power in 37 AD. The first 6 months of his rule, he's actually really well liked by the people. The official way to put it is he really increases the social welfare of the city. But really what he does, of the empire, excuse me, but I mean literally what he does for the first 6 months is he'll like throw money off of his balcony to people in the streets. And the people love him. I mean, he literally will stand out there and like throw money to them, okay? So at first the people really like him, okay? About 6 months in, something snaps in his mind and he loses it and becomes like a totally different person. And again, long story short, they think that he had some kind of mental thing. Actually, honestly, one of the leading theories is that he had lead poisoning. He drank outrageous amounts of alcohol, and the alcohol, that kind of wine that he drank, was created in basins that had lead in them. And people think that he may have gotten lead poisoning of some kind that would have like actually altered his mentality. That might be true, that might not be true, but it actually serves a pretty good explanation of why he just went from okay to crazy. And what he does is he starts a reign of terror, which we'll talk about that same thing with Nero too. But he starts a reign of terror, which is a really good word to use because you'll hear that word come up a lot in in your other history classes in high school. You'll hear it come up again and again. But a reign of terror, R-E-I-G-N, not R-A-I-N. Reign, R-A-I-N. Would be scary, terror. Reign of terror, R-E-I-G-N. And what a reign of terror is where you've got a guy in charge who essentially does what he wants to and kills people mercilessly, and he's very irrational. And that's what Caligula starts doing. And Caligula is most famous for killing off kind of any senators or administrators or kind of high up people that he wants to. And that's going to have some damaging impacts on the empire. He's really famous for killing people just for the pleasure of it. This is horrible and gross, but he literally will have women and children, innocent women and children, and innocent men, like thrown off of cliffs for his pleasure. I mean, he's crazy, okay? So at any given time, obviously the society is terrified because at any time, you never know what's lurking around the corner. Your name could be called to be killed, essentially. And what he's really famous for, too, is actually, so the gladiator games are a thing in Roman society, as you know right now. He actually finds a way to legally, like by law, make the gladiator games longer and